Welcome to today's live reading from the Krishna book. We are on chapter 28, releasing Nanda Maharaj from the clutches of Varuna. Last week we were reading about the prayers from the Indradev to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which described his understanding of being oblivion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we have to understand that these are all leelas enacted through the different associates or the characters for our own learning in our lives and how to live our lives. Let's invoke the presence of God. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So let's begin. Releasing Nanda Maharaj from the clutches of Varuna. The Govardhan Puja ceremony took place on the new moon day. After this, there were torrents of rain and hailstorms imposed by King Indra for 7 days. 9 days of the waxing moon have passed. On the 10th day, King Indra worshipped Lord Krishna, and this matter was satisfactorily settled. Waxing is when the moon increases in size. Waning is when it decreases. When it increases, it becomes full moon, that is Purnamashi, and when it decreases, wanes, it is a dark moon night or a no moon night. After this, there were torrents of rain and hailstorms imposed by King Indra for 7 days. 9 days of the waxing moon have passed. On the 10th day, King Indra worshipped Lord Krishna, and thus the matter was satisfactorily settled. After this, on the 11th day of the full moon, Ekadashi, Maharaj Nanda observed fasting for the whole day, and early in the morning of the next day, Dwadashi, he went to take a bath in the river Yamuna. He entered deep into the water of the river, but he was arrested immediately by one of the servants of Varun Dev. Varun Dev is the presiding deity of the water. This servant brought Nanda Maharaj before the demigod. Varun had accused him of taking a bath in the river at the wrong time. According to astronomical calculations, the time in which he took a bath was considered demoniac. The fact was that Nanda Maharaj wanted to take a bath in the river Yamuna early in the morning before the sunrise, but somehow or other he was a little too early, and he bathed it at an inauspicious time, or like we say, inauspicious muhurat in Sanskrit. Consequently, he was arrested. When Nanda Maharaj was taken away by one of Varuna's servants, Nanda's companions began to call loudly for Krishna and Balram. Immediately, Krishna and Balram could understand that Nanda Maharaj had been taken away by a servant of Varuna. Thus they went to the abode of Varuna, for they were pledged to give protection to the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who were all unalloyed devotees of the Lord. Devotees have no shelter other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Naturally, cry to him for help, exactly like children who do not know anything but the protection of their parents. The demigod Varuna received Lord Krishna and Balram with great respect and said, "My dear Lord, actually at this very moment, because of your presence, my life as a demigod Varuna has become successful. Although I am the proprietor of all the treasures in the water, I know such possessions do not make for a successful life. But at this moment, as I look at you, my life is made completely successful, because by seeing you, I no longer have to accept a material body. Therefore, O Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Brahman and Super Soul of everything, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You are the Supreme Transcendental Personality. There is no possibility of imposing the influence of material nature upon you. I am very sorry that my foolish man, by not knowing what to do and what not to do, has mistakenly arrested your father, Nanda Maharaj. So I beg your pardon for the offense of my servant. I think that it was your plan to show me your mercy by your personal presence here. My dear Lord Krishna, Govinda, be merciful upon me. Here is your father, you can take him back immediately. In this way, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, rescued his father and presented him before his friends. Bringing them great jubilation, Nanda Maharaj was surprised. Although the demigod was so opulent, he had offered so much respect to Krishna. That was very astonishing to Nanda, and he began to describe the incident to his friends and relatives with great wonder. Actually, though Krishna was acting so wonderfully, Maharaj Nanda and Mother Yashoda could not think of him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead, they always accepted him as their beloved child. Thus, Nanda Maharaj did not accept the fact that Varuna had worshipped Krishna because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, he took it because Krishna was such a wonderful child, he had been respected even by Varuna. The friends of Nanda Maharaj, all the cowherd men, became eager to know if Krishna was actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead and if he was going to give them all salvation. When they were all thus consulting among themselves, Krishna understood their minds, and in order to assure them of their destiny in the spiritual kingdom, he showed them the spiritual sky. Generally, ordinary persons are engaged simply in working hard in material world, and they have no information that there is another kingdom or another sky, which is known as the spiritual sky, where life is eternal, never ends, blissful and full of knowledge. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, a person returning to that spiritual sky never returns to this material world of death and suffering. So as we say generally at home that a child might have excelled in something in life or in some field or in some other arena, the parents, if they are really loving parents, they don't show too much acknowledgement of that child's achievements. For them, their child is just their ordinary loving child. So the feelings of Nanda Maharaj was same towards his son Krishna. Even he had accomplished so many beautiful victories against these demoniac people who were appearing in Vrindavan, so many demons and so many calamities, the Kaliya serpent and so many asurs, Bakasur, Pralambasur, Dhenukasur, and so on. And don't forget the first one, Putana. So like we say in Punjabi at our home, Ghar ka jogi jogada, bahar jogi siddh. So at home, no matter what you do, you won't be treated as something overachiever or underachiever. You will be the same loving child of your parents. The world, they are out there to acknowledge your presence and your feats and your accomplishments, and that continues even when the child gets married. The husband and wife, they also treat each other the same, and which is actually grounding for everyone. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always eager to give information to the conditioned soul that there is a spiritual sky far, far beyond this material sky, transcendental to the innumerable universes created within the total material energy. Krishna is, of course, always very kind to every conditioned soul, but as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, he is especially inclined to the pure devotees. Just like there are a lot of children of the parents at home, but a child who is always there available to serve the parents, he or she becomes the dearest to the parents. So similarly, the devotees have got a little bit edge over the other human beings in the society for Krishna. Hearing their inquiries, Krishna immediately thought that his devotees in Vrindavan should be informed of the spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha planets therein. Within the material world, every conditioned soul is in the darkness of ignorance. This means that all conditioned souls are under the concept of bodily existence. Everyone is under the impression that he is of this material world, and with this concept of life, everyone is working in ignorance in different forms of life. The activities of the particular type of body are called karma, or fruitive action, which bind us to this material world. All conditioned souls, being under the impression of the bodily concept, are working according to their particular body type. These activities are creating their future conditioned life because they have very little information of the spiritual world. They do not generally take to spiritual activities, which are called bhakti yoga. Those who successfully practice bhakti yoga go directly to the spiritual world after giving up this present body, and there they become situated in one of the Vaikuntha planets. The inhabitants of Vrindavan are all pure devotees. Their destination after quitting the body is Krishna Lok. They even surpass the Vaikuntha Loks. The highest abode in the spiritual sky is Krishna Lok, and below Krishna Lok are the Vaikuntha Loks. The fact is that those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness and mature pure devotional service are given the chance after death to gain Krishna's association in one of the universes within the material world. I will repeat that. The fact is that those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness and mature pure devotional service are given the chance after death to gain Krishna's association in one of the universes within the material world. Krishna's pastimes are continuously going on either in this universe or in another universe. Just as the sun globe is passing over many places across this earthly planet, so Krishna Leela, or the transcendental advent and pastimes of Krishna, are also going on in this or another universe. The mature devotees who have completely executed Krishna consciousness are immediately transferred to the universe where Krishna is appearing. In that universe, the devotees get their first opportunity to associate with Krishna personally and directly. The training goes on as we see in the Vrindavan Leela of Krishna within this planet. Krishna therefore revealed the actual features of the Vaikuntha planets so that the inhabitants of Vrindavan could know their destination. So what we are doing at present moment is we are getting trained into the devotional service. This material world is actually just the, like we say in Hindi, ulti parchai of the spiritual world. So it is all, everything is perverted, is upside down. Like we see the shadow of a tree in the river. It seems that the leaves of the material world, whatever emotions we have here, are actually completely opposite of what they are in the spiritual world. So if a devotee succeeds in this life, in the final exam, in the final moment, just before the death, to remember to Krishna, to think of Krishna, like Krishna says, if we are his devotees, he will somehow help us at that final moment by doing something, by sending somebody to our rescue, by sending the thoughts in our head, or by providing the association of the devotees around us at that final moment, that they will somehow or other help us in that moment. So after leaving the body, a devotee is going to go either into one of the universes. Like we said, there are 14 universes, not just our universe, there are 14 universes in this world, and in one of the universes the Krishna Leela is going on. Like we had, for example, we had Krishna come here 5,000 plus years ago. So similarly, in some other universe, that Krishna Lila is going on. In some other universe, Ram Lila is going on. In some other universe, Narsinga Dev's Lila is going on. And in some other universe, Dhruv Maharaja's and Prahlad Maharaja's pastimes are going on. So we get to have birth in one of that particular universes wherever the Krishna Lila is going on, if we have achieved so many brownie points or so many A's or A stars in our final exam. And if we are too good, if maybe like they say we have 3 births in our perfection to Krishna consciousness, we don't know this is our first birth, this is our second birth, or this is our last birth. If this is our last birth before the perfection to Krishna consciousness, then we will go straight to Krishna Loka and we will be the eternal associates of Krishna and we will not fall down. But if this is our second birth, then we'll have to come back to perfect our Krishna consciousness. Thus Krishna showed them the eternal, ever-existing spiritual sky which is unlimited and full of knowledge. Within this material world, there are different grades of forms, and according to the grade, knowledge is proportionately manifested. For example, the knowledge in the body of a child is not as perfect as the knowledge in the body of an adult man. Everywhere there are different grades of living entities. In aquatic animals, in the plants and trees, in the reptiles and insects, in birds and beasts, and in the civilized and uncivilized human forms of life. Above the human form of life, there are demigods or the Devi Devatas. The Devi Devatas, they're also like us, but they have got some very special karmas, so they have got the bodies of the demigods. So they are above the human form of life, yeah? Charans and Siddhas on up to the Brahman Loka, Brahma Loka. So above the demigods, Charans, then Siddhas, then up the topmost of the material world is Brahma Loka, where Lord Brahmas live. And just to clarify, Lord Brahma, any human also can become Lord Brahma if he has or she has accrued so many good karmas or good points, or if he or she has got the desire to execute the role of Lord Brahma. And among these demigods, there are always different grades of knowledge. But beyond this material world, in the spiritual sky, everyone is in full knowledge, and therefore all the living entities, they are engaged in the devotional service to the Lord, either in the Vaikuntha planets or in Krishna Loka. As it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, full knowledge means knowing Krishna to be the supreme personality of Godhead. In the Vedas and Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that in the Brahma Jyoti or the spiritual sky, there is no need of sunlight, moonlight, or electricity. All the planets there are self-illuminating, and all of them are eternally situated. There is no question of creation and annihilation in the Brahma Jyoti or spiritual sky. The Bhagavad Gita also confirms that beyond the material sky, there is another eternal spiritual sky where everything is eternally existing. That is, it doesn't cease to exist, unlike our planets, which come to existence and then they are annihilated, they are finished, then there is nothing, then again everything is created by the Lord. Direct knowledge of the spiritual sky can be had only by great sages and saintly persons who have already surpassed the influence of the 3 material modes of nature by engaging in devotional service or Krishna consciousness. Unless one is constantly situated on that transcendental form, it is not possible to understand the spiritual nature. Therefore, it is recommended that one should take to the Bhakti Yoga and keep himself engaged 24 hours in a day in Krishna consciousness, which places one beyond the reach of the modes of material nature, vis-a-vis goodness, passion, and ignorance. One in Krishna consciousness can easily understand the nature of the spiritual sky and Vaikuntha Lok. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, being always engaged in Krishna consciousness, could therefore very easily understand the transcendental nature of the Vaikuntha Lokas. Thus Krishna led all the cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, to the lake where Akrura was later shown the Vaikuntha planetary system. They took their bath immediately and saw the real nature of the Vaikuntha loks. After seeing the spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha loks, all the men headed by Nanda Maharaj felt wonderfully blissful, and upon coming out of the lake, they saw Krishna. I'm not able to get the focus here as I'm reading as well. It's okay, that's Radharani's mercy. Felt wonderfully blissful, and upon coming out of the lake, they saw Krishna. Like in the beginning we said, Nanda Maharaj went to have bath in the Yamuna. So they came out of the lake, they saw Krishna, who was being worshipped with excellent prayers, and thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 28th chapter of Krishna, releasing Nanda Maharaj from the clutches of Varuna. I think I got so engrossed reading this chapter, I didn't even look at the clock. I am 10 minutes above our usual time, but I think that was Krishna's will for today. So we will see you again, everyone, tomorrow. I wish everyone a very blissful week ahead, and let's hope we stay in Krishna consciousness 24/7, and we keep supporting each other in this journey of ours in Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Narayan Keshav Prabhu, and thank you, Shamita. Hare Krishna.